Hey everyone, Florida Man here, back in Ukraine. And in case you don't believe me, I'm on my way to Zaporizhia. I just stopped. I'm gonna grab a coffee, take a power nap, and then I'm gonna tell you guys what I did in Florida and what I'm about to do this month and next month. All right. All right, guys, back on the road. I know it's not preferred for me to drive and talk, but you know, it's a bit of a drive. I'm heading from Vinnytsia to Zaporizhia. It's about an 8-hour drive, and you know, that's not including the checkpoints or small naps. And I'm a morning person. I gotta wake up and I gotta drive in the morning. I cannot do late night driving, man. My brain is set to do stuff in the morning. So I woke up at like 5 this morning to get going, and you know, you get the whole road to yourself here in Ukraine if you wake up that early. So now it's around like 10 o'clock, so it's a little busier on the road, but I only got like, I think 5 hours or 4 hours left on this drive, so I'm not too worried. But anyway, yeah, so what am I doing? So yeah, I'm back in Ukraine. I left Monday. It was a bit of a long, it's always a long travel to get into Ukraine, obviously because there's no planes in Ukraine. So you always have to, like, you know, go to like Poland, and then you gotta take the trains from Poland into Ukraine. So Monday left, had my first, I had, I think, 2 layovers to get over here. Missed one of them, ended up in Warsaw. Then I had to take a late night train to Krakow, crash at a hostel one night, and then wake up at like 4 so I can get on the train, morning train, to get to Przemyśl, because there's only like, there's 2 trains you can take from Poland into Ukraine. There is one in Warsaw, but that just goes straight to Kyiv, and that's a 12-hour train ride. I'm not down for a 12-hour train ride. The other one though is from Przemyśl to Lviv, and that's a lot easier. And actually it's Przemyśl to Kyiv, and I was heading to Vinnytsia, and that one actually goes through Vinnytsia, so I didn't need to do any transfers or anything, so I could just get on Przemyśl and head straight to Vinnytsia. So yeah, got to Vinnytsia yesterday, went to the forge, pick up my van. It's working, thank God. You know, had a bit of a sputter when I first started it up, but you know, let the engine kind of warm up a bit and then get back on it. And I've been driving now for the past 4 or 5 hours. It's working fine, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, I'm on the road. I had to leave early. It's a tight schedule. I got a tight schedule for the next month or 2. So basically, I was able to do a lot of planning while I was in the U.S. and basically the next 2 months are booked for me in Ukraine. I got an itinerary I need to get to. First thing is heading to Zaporizhia. I have a friend. Her name's Valentina. She found me through one of my interviews I did. I think it was through Voice of America interview. She saw the Voice of America interview. She got in contact with me. She has a organization, American and Ukrainian organization. She's a Ukrainian who lived, I believe it's Wyoming or Wisconsin, for like 20 years. Very nice lady. So she has an organization in the U.S. called Chalice of Mercy. Basically, they deliver medical supplies to Zaporizhia. She has a warehouse there, and we deliver those out to the troops on the front line, like to the stabilization points and trauma centers. So I might be visiting a couple of those places along the way during my trip with her. But yeah, basically she's traveling back and forth, and this is our first time properly spending time together. We've met before, but it's just like on the road, you know, once or twice I think. But most of the time we're just talking to each other on the phone. So this is gonna be my first time getting to actually work with her, see her place, see what they're up to. Also, like the medical game here in Ukraine, I call it a game, but you know, the business here when it comes to nonprofits and moving medical supplies around the country. So looking forward to that. It is in Zaporizhia. I don't know how close afterwards, but we might also go to Kherson as well. But what else? Yeah, so that's the first thing on the list I need to do. After that, there is, got to go back to Vinnytsia, spend some time at the forge. We now have all the paperwork settled at the forge. And the next thing for us to do is to do some renovations. We got volunteers interested. I got a volunteer showing up next week. I want to, you know, meet him back in Vinnytsia. We're going to spend a good week at the forge. If it works out, he'll stay. He might come back with me towards my next spot, or he's going to stay there and keep working there. I'm trying to figure something out for the volunteers that want to work at the forge, because I've been reached out now by several people. And it was unfortunate that I was just in the U.S. And I was like, look, I'm in the U.S. they're not comfortable having someone that they don't know, and I'm not there to be able to communicate with them. And, you know, for the next 2 months, I'm going to be on the road a good bit. So I'm trying to think. I have someone in mind. I might try to work out where I can have someone else meet volunteers. I want to go to the Forge, and that can be the person to kind of introduce you to the Forge, and they can get you settled in there. But that's something I need to work on once I get back to Vinnytsia after this. But yeah, we got to volunteer, stay in Vinnytsia for a week, work in Vinnytsia. Then I need to head to Lviv. We have the orphan project in Lviv, and then there's some other people I need to meet in Lviv. Should be a good time. I'll probably spend about a week or so there. And then after that, it's kind of a coin toss. There's a good chance I might end up in Ivano-Frankivsk. There's a drone program down there. I might end up there for a month. If not, I'll probably head back to Vinnytsia, get back to the Forge, keep working on that stuff. So let me tell you guys what happened back in Florida, a little bit about what I did in Florida. So there's two main reasons why I went back to Florida. The primary reason was because I had a fundraiser. And, you know, originally I wasn't planning on going back to the US for some time. I think it was like even in December, or like before December. Basically some guys reached out to me. There's a group that helped me out set up my NGO in the US. They paid for the legal fees and all that stuff to get the lawyers to do all that. And they had members that had LLC that does security training. So a lot of former soldiers, veterans, and they do, you know, tactical classes and all that sort of stuff, and they showed an interest in helping my organization. So they wanted to do a fundraiser for us. So it's called Triforge LLC. JC's the guy. So he helped us out. We got together. We talked for a while about setting up the events. And eventually, once I found out that there was a lot of people going, I was like, you know, I didn't want to go back to Florida if it was going to be, you know, it's like, maybe there's only 5 or 10. And then I realized that, all right, there's a decent amount of people that are probably going to go. And then another friend told me, like, they didn't tell me beforehand, but I'm happy I made the choice to go, because they told me, look, it's not about raising money. I mean, raising the money is nice, but the main point of the fundraiser is to make the connections. It's networking. That's one of the big things when it comes to these events, because you have other people showing up there. One is putting a face to a name of an organization. They can actually see who that person is. They can see, you know, just get the vibe on that person. So, you know, it was great. It was also partnered with St. Lazarus Hospitalers. I know, interesting people I get to meet over here. Good guys too. But yeah, no, so basically I got to meet them in person. We got to hang out for the day, shoot some guns, did some CCCC stuff, did a bit about drones. Always love to do some stuff about drones. But it was, you know, it was in Central Florida. It was, you know, freaking hot. Got a bit of sun and then I lost it, I think. I used to think I was a little bit browner earlier this month. But yeah, so it's been good there. And, you know, second one was just kind of head back home and kind of recoup and recover from my stomach issues. I was in Ukraine for over a year. I hadn't returned back home for like over a year. And, yeah, I wasn't really looking forward to that part. Be a little honest here. Being back home, it feels kind of, you know, the U.S., you know, the longer you spend away from the U.S. and each time you come back, you're kind of like, damn, man, you kind of see the U.S. a bit different. Like just the culture, and you're kind of like, wow, I guess this isn't normal. Like being exposed to other cultures for quite some time, and then you come back to the U.S. and you're like, damn, dude, why are these people like this sometimes? One's the traffic, how people drive in the U.S. Everyone in the U.S. would know, especially if you drive on 95. You know, no, the left lane's never for the, like, I love here in Ukraine right now, like, you know, left lanes are for passing. And, you know, most of Europe's like that. In the U.S., no one cares. It's supposed to be, but no one cares. So, you know, small stuff like that gets me. It's always a bit of a culture shock when I come home and, you know, my brain's on, you know, war zone brain. I'm thinking about what I can do to help out in a war zone and, you know, these sorts of issues. And then when you go back home, people have very different problems. You know, I don't want to say white people problems or first world problems, but yeah, you know, it's hard to connect once you get back home and people try to tell you what their problems are and you're like, all right, well, it doesn't sound like that big of a deal. And you know, people have a hard time understanding how you go through what you do. I mean, people always seem so shocked when I tell them about, you know, all the air raids, and if you stay in Kyiv, you're going to see fireworks. So I guess, you know, you get a little bit crazy over here, and so it's a little harder to connect to people back home with that. Train crossing here. They actually have a stop sign. But yeah, I'm very happy to be back. Basically, I would say, you know, I had to tell my dad this. He was happy to see me, but, you know, I told him, like, Dad, you know, he was wondering how long I was going to stay or how long I was going to be back in Ukraine for. I was like, you know, there ain't nothing for me in Florida. I think that's a bit of an honest truth. There isn't much out there for me. It's just, I don't find meaning there anymore. I have friends there. I liked hanging out with my friends. I had a great time with my friends. I might put in some clips and stuff about what I did in Florida at the end of this video so you guys can see what I was up to. But yeah, you know, it's nice and all, but you know, I wake up in the morning and I think, all right, what's the fucking point? And I get that a lot over there in Florida. You know, especially after doing stuff here in Ukraine, you're kind of like, you know, what's a life without meaning or like a real value purpose? It's like trying to find any sort of regular job where you're just working just to make money. Yeah, not really interested. I don't think I can work hard enough in that sort of environment. I need a good purpose to do what I'm doing. So, you know, that's why I'm back here in Ukraine. You know, I feel so much better here, even if, you know, you deal with a lot more random chaos. It's more stressful on your body. I feel happier here most of the time, you know, honestly, even if, you know, my stomach doesn't agree with me. That was nice being back in Florida. You know, I was able to have a far more controlled diet. Thank you, Costco. Just get fucking Tyson boneless chicken strips. Basically, I ate that every day. Stomach's doing better, but not perfect still. Definitely better. Some of the alcohol in the U.S. didn't help. Obviously, I was back home, had to meet friends, and that's always one of those funny social challenges now, because, you know, I just got so used to drinking with friends all the time, and now I gotta curate what I drink or how much I drink, far more than I, you know, would think for my age. But yeah, being back home, it was nice. Picked up rock climbing, did some rock climbing. That was something I always wanted to do, and I'm actually quite happy I had friends there. I got into it, and so it was easy for me to jump into it with them. Met up with some older friends. Didn't do much traveling, just stayed in South Florida. Just went up to Central Florida for the fundraiser. Yeah, man, I got lazy. I was like a lazy stack of potatoes most of the days, just fucking video gamed away some days. But yeah, that's why I tell people, it's like, yeah, I'm way more productive here, way more focused here. Oh, last thing, I think a big thing to talk about. We got 501c status while I was in Florida. We are now an accredited nonprofit, so you can get your tax returns. You get your tax money back for donating to Florida Man for Ukraine if you're a U.S. citizen or if you pay taxes in the U.S. That's a really big one, and like I said, with the fundraiser, I did some networking, and so now I know where to apply for grants. I'm going to apply for a couple grants. I'm looking forward to that, and like actually having you know, some money to move stuff around. And the fundraiser worked out pretty well too. I mean, we raised around $5,000. That was quite useful. We've already used a bit of it, but we got some more stuff we can use it for. I've got some ideas, and like I can do like a little small petty stuff too that like I wasn't really thinking about. I was like, oh yeah, we can do that. That's no problem. So like, I got a friend. He's got 400 kilograms of trench candles sitting in the Czech Republic. They don't know where to put them. They don't have anyone to deliver them to. You know, the Forge can use them because we make burners for trench candles. We'll just give those out to the guys when we give out our burners. But yeah, also, like, you know, we got to pay volunteers for the gas to cross the border. So I'm like, yeah, we can throw $100 there. That's no problem. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to have that sort of play money. I have a friend. I'm going to post this video, I think, in a separate thing, because this thing's getting too long. I'll lose most of your guys' attention by now. But, you know, he needs money to buy medical supplies to fill out IFAK kits. So these are sort of things we can do now. We got partnerships we can think about. So it's moving up in a way. It's like, all right, you got to be more focused on different things. And that's also only go back to like being at the Forge. Anyone who's still watching and you're thinking about volunteering at the Forge, I still want you. They can still use you. Roman needs extra hands. The problem is I just not going to be there a lot of times, even in Venezia, to kind of help get you like orientated to the Forge. And especially since the Forge is a very particular place that's not easy to get to, and you know, they don't speak any English there. It's kind of hard to bring in someone who has no experience of the land, doesn't know any of the language, and just have them jump in at the Forge and have everyone kind of feel comfortable with that. So I do have one volunteer who lives in this city. I'm thinking about trying to get him on board, and he's going to be my go-to guy. Oh, I know that guy. Face a picture on a van. I knew the guy on front of it. Yeah, it's going to, I'm going to see if I can get him to kind of be the person, my go-to contact for people that want to go to the Forge in Venezia. So I still want you. Like I said, I'm going back next week to pick up the first volunteer. We're going to spend a week at the Forge. But for the most part, yeah, definitely do contact me if you're outside of Ukraine and you want to work at the Forge, because, you know, I got multiple people now interested. But if you're in Ukraine, yeah, just shoot me a message on my email, FloridaMan for Ukraine. Or, you know, if you got my WhatsApp, you can WhatsApp me. But, yeah, I think that's going to be it. I'm just going to keep driving here. But, yeah, man. Nice to be back in Ukraine. It's beautiful here, too. Oh, my gosh. Leaving Ukraine, and I think it was early March. I left Ukraine at, like, the last snow, I think. At least in Lviv. It was snowing in Lviv when I left. But now it's lush and green. Everything looks beautiful here. Yeah, I'm happy to be back. Great time to be back, but I think I'm gonna wuss out on this winter. I think I'm gonna head back to Florida or just get out of Ukraine during this December. You know, do the fundraising in the U.S. then and come back. Get the best of both worlds. Be a snowbird. Become what I hate. All right, everyone. Stay safe out there.